It's 10 o'clock in the morning here on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 in beautiful Northeast Texas on Lazy Cow Farms. It is about 75, 80 degrees. It's supposed to get up to almost 90 today. So it's a little bit warm, but I caught the animals all in the middle of the row chewing their cud. I guess they like the sun. Or maybe it's just closer to the water. But when I went to set up the wire, they all moved to the other end of the row, because that's historically that's where I've moved them, is at the western end of the row. But today I want to move them starting from the eastern end. So here they come. I wanted to get a good look at the sheep, see how their hooves are doing. When they walk by, check for head bobbing. If their head is bouncing up and down, it's probably because one of their hooves is sore. So I was able to get to them on Saturday. So that was, what, 3 days ago? So we'll see what they look like when they pass by. Whoa! Sheep, sheep, sheep. Here they come. On the left side of the cows here, that little triangle right in front of their hip bone, that's supposed to be filled in really nice. It looks like the condition of the cows is pretty good. Come on, sheep, sheep, sheep. They're confused. They don't know where they're supposed to go. Cows have been doing this longer. There they go, into the new area. I'll sit here in the shade. So these sheep are probably all perfectly healthy and fine. They need to shed some more. I think there's only one tree. This tree here is in this section, but when the next sections, there'll be several trees they can rub on. Plenty of shade too, hopefully, for when it gets hot. So of course Patches has to be a maverick there. Sheep, sheep, sheep. I don't see any head bobbing. Wait, that one there, a little bit. Yeah, that one probably has a sore hoof. Just slightly sore. You know. The sheep, when they're running, they kind of jump back and forth like this with their head sticking up straight. Yeah, that's a good example of a running sheep there. Nope, that's bobbing head. She probably has a sore hoof. That one probably has a sore hoof too. So I'm planning on pinning them up in 2 weeks. That'll be May 25th, or May 24th, I think. I'll pin them up again and get a close look at their hooves and see how they're doing. And these stragglers, you can see, I think that lamb there is bobbing her head. That one is definitely bobbing her head. Front left hoof is sore. That one as well, front left hoof. So the dogs are playing with the ram or something, or what's going on there? They're like rubbing on her. I've seen some weird things. I once saw a dog biting the wool of a sheep. I think the dog was just grooming her, but it seemed really weird. I guess they groom each other. Right now the dogs are shedding too. This poor dog here. Why are you so skinny? I give you lots of food. Why are you so skinny? You see how that wool is shedding off the hair. So, sheep, sheep, sheep. Come on, guys. Sheep, sheep, sheep. I'll go round up the stragglers. Come on, let's go. Yeah, this one front right hoof is sore. This one, you can see I bandaged the front left hoof there. Probably did a hoof rot. So, getting one last rub in before they go to the new row. Ship, ship, ship. You see how her head is bobbing? Front left hoof is sore. Come on, sheep, sheep, sheep. You're just making noise, you're not moving. We're going to a new row. Come on, ladies. That one's sore too. Let me just double check that everything's out of this row, no calves or anything. Yeah, I don't see any calves. Oh, that's where the dogs were hiding. They weren't following me in the field. I guess they were taking shelter. The dirt is cool near that root ball. I think they all moved on. Yeah. Come on, guys. Oh, you're going the wrong way. Let me back off. Try to persuade her to do the right thing. There she is. Where is she still there? Yeah, she is. Last one, huh? Somebody was commenting about I must be doing a good job or something because the grass is growing well. I really can't take much credit for this because all I do is move the animals, really. Back in 2021, I put some lime down. I'm sorry, not fertilizer, lime. I did a soil sample and it said your soil is slightly acidic. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I do remember that it was acidic enough. I think it was like 6.7 or something like that. I don't remember the numbers, but I remember checking for clovers and they said clovers won't germinate unless the soil is some number, and it was a couple points below that. So I put lime down. I didn't do any phosphorus or potassium or anything like that. Certainly didn't put down any of the nitrogens, the nitrates or nitrites or whatever they are, urea, ammonia, that stuff. It's just been rotating animals, and it's been kind of a long journey for me, starting from zero. Like, you know, the closest I've ever been to livestock was having a pet dog. So the biggest hurdle was understanding how much grass you need and how much you're supposed to eat, right? If you come into a field that's been overworked, maybe it's been hayed, maybe it's been overgrazed for many years. The grass, it'll, like, assuming the previous owner put down all the fertilizers to sell the property and get a good price, the grass won't come back, you know, not for a couple of years, right? And if you continue to put animals on ground that doesn't have grass growing, the grass can't grow, you know. And really, you got to wait until the grass is like this, you know, up to your knees or whatever, or thick and dense, before you can really graze animals on it. And so my mistake was overstocking. I bought a bunch of cows from a friend, and then I had to sell about half the cows. And even then I was still overstocked. We had droughts in 21, 22, and 23. And so, and the other thing too that I had to learn was like rotational speed. I used my neighbor's back 20, which is just here. This is part of the back 20, as kind of a backstop last year. And the year previous, rather than thinking of it as ground that I could cover, it was just like, I'm not supposed to touch that. I'm supposed to only survive on the 60 acres. But if I got myself into a corner, I can put them in the back 20 and buy some time, you know. The other challenge that I had was some parts of the pasture just weren't doing well. And I think it was back in 22. Yeah, I think it was the late summer of 22 when the southern half, the middle portion of the southern half, there just wasn't grass growing, right? And my rotational plan said I was going to spend, you know, a couple weeks there, but I decided to just skip it. I said, you know, there's no grass here. It's not growing. I'm just going to skip it. And the grass really didn't grow back there for quite a while. I think even during the winter, I was still looking at it and, you know, wondering when the grass would grow back. But this spring, it came back with gusto. It just boomed right back. And it's some of the best pasture that I have now. Now my goal is just not to overgraze it. And that's why I'm going back and forth is I'm trying to limit the amount of time they spend in the middle of the row. But, you know, it takes experience. You just got to do it, and you got to watch and learn. When you're out here moving the animals twice daily, your brain's going to start seeing the patterns pretty quick, you know. Another thing is the grazing strategy that I'm using. It's not the total grazing technique, which I understand a lot of people swear by the total grazing, and I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I just don't know. It is more the Greg Judy selective style grazing. So the goal that I'm shooting for is 80%. 80% of the grass is eaten and trampled, and 20% is left untouched, right? And if I hit that number, then I'm doing pretty well, right? If they're not eating and grazing enough grass, I'm gonna tighten up the rows a little bit, which I just did. This row is, instead of the typical 100 feet wide, it's 80 feet wide. So I reduced the row size by 20%. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on how they're grazing. And if it looks like they're not leaving enough behind, I'm gonna give them a little extra area. Maybe we'll be out of this row by Thursday instead of Friday, like I normally plan. You know, but I estimated that I'm probably undergrazing and could do with tighter rows. Tighter rows means longer recovery periods. It means I won't be back here for, you know, 20% more time, right, before I come back here, which is just good for the grass. The grass, the longer the recovery period, the better, to a point, right? And right now, it's almost the middle of May, and I'm looking at this green ryegrass and various cool season grasses that have grown, and, you know, it was up to almost as tall as the cows now, some stalks, you know what I mean? And so I'm expecting this to turn brown any day. Definitely by the first week of June, I expect it all to turn brown. And if I don't get the summer grass coming in, the Bermuda grass and other warm season grasses coming in, that could spell trouble, right? That could really spell trouble. So we're having these warm days. It's going to only drop down to 70 degrees at night during this week, which I think that's the magical number. If you get 3 or 4 nights in a row where it's above 60, then the warm season grasses will wake up and start growing. So I'm looking around, looking for the warm season grasses. I did see some areas where the goatweed is growing, and the goatweed's kind of a warm season plant. It doesn't like the cold weather. So if the goatweed's growing, then it's probably not long before I'm going to see the warm season grasses, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for and hoping for. Last year was kind of beautiful because we had kind of a moderate spring, actually, except the nights were warm, and so we got the summer grasses early, and so it's a very smooth transition from spring to summer. Sometimes there's a couple weeks when there's not much forage and you don't want to have the animals eating the young summer grass, because it just doesn't recover all summer long if you eat it too much. But last year we had a really good transition, and I don't think it was until late summer that I started feeling like I was running out of forage, you know, which is typically what's going to happen. once you hit about, I think we had a long summer last year too, so it wasn't really until October that the grass stopped growing. Yeah, we had a long summer last year. But, you know, our autumns and our winters, we really don't get much growth at all. And I was just thinking that if I were to put together a video and explain to new guys what to do in this particular climate, if I had it to do all over again, I probably would have bought a bunch of steer, run them on my ground, and then sell them at the end of the year when I run out of forage. And the reason why that's a good idea, especially if you're new to this and you have new land, is if you need to put the land to rest for a longer period of time, you can with the steer, right? And in this climate, they're going to put on weight between April and probably October, right? And so as long as you're grazing during those months, you're probably going to make at least a little bit of money, you know. The longer you have them, the more money you're going to make, and the better the costs work out for you, you know. But that's probably what I would recommend to new guys, is don't do cow-calf, because wintering the animals in this climate is not, I haven't figured it out yet. I'll just put it that way. So there's lots of things I need to change, and I don't really know what to do right now. But I'm learning and investigating and discovering things. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of the mid-May report on what's happening with the animals. We do expect hot weather on Wednesday, tomorrow, almost up to 100 degrees, 97, 98. And so they'll be under those trees, and they can't ask for anything more than that. And I'm thinking of moving the cows, the bulls, they're back there in the distance. We're getting closer and closer to the bulls. I need to move them to the north row. I've just been putting that off for way too long. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. You have a great day. Take care, and bye-bye.